Are you curious to see where you can find newer homes in the Bay Area? The Bay Area in general doesn't actually have too much new construction, but there are different cities that have been doing a lot more than others. Why is that? One, they may have a lot more land. Two, perhaps they're closer to public transits. If you're close from those lines that have continued to extend there to build X amount of housing. So we're gonna dive in to see where are all these newer homes so that you can decide if that's gonna be able to work for you relative to your budget, your commute, and the lifestyle there. My name is Spencer Su, your favorite Bay Area real estate agent, and I've been so happy to help so many people just like you, and you successfully with their moves. So watch to the very end because you're gonna understand by the time this video is over exactly where to focus if you want newer homes. Let's get into the screen share. Okay, one of the questions I get all the time is, Spencer, where are the new construction areas? Where are those communities? What I'm going to be sharing with you on the screen share so you can see for yourself, I'm going to break it down because the new construction communities tend to be in specific areas. And the more that you see clustered, the more likely it is to have the communities. Now, I don't really want to focus on these one-off ones, but I'm also going to be breaking down by single family and condo and townhomes, which will be very different. I'm going to be looking all over the Bay Area, but within this video, you will know very clearly, like, where are these communities if you want something a little bit newer. As you can see, I'm going to say something newer relative to the Bay Area. Remember, most homes in the Bay Area are like built in the 1950s, 1960s. So if you want something new, 2010 to 2021 is pretty darn new. Okay, so let's go over like the options to consider. So let's go from like kind of the south parts. South, you actually have a lot of new construction continue to happen in Gilroy. So Gilroy is pretty far south. But if you want a new construction, there's lots of development happening. This is a section called Glen Loma. Lots of new options for new construction that are available. As you move more north, Morgan Hill is also similar. Morgan Hill has really gotten a lot more popular over the last, especially 5 years, for those that want a bigger home, newer home for the money. And so you can see there's lots of homes here between, let's say, 1.2 to 1.4, 1.5. Now, as you move into like the South Bay, you're not going to see a whole lot. The reason that they're so sprinkled apart, because these tend to be potentially more like new construction developments. Now, keep in mind, this is a single family search for now. Once I change it to condos and townhomes, there's a lot more newer ones here. But for single family, I'm not even going to be covering most of these. These are all like tear downs that have occurred over time. So all of these are pretty much tear down. There's no new single family all throughout this whole area. Now, if you move all the way up to here, Daly City, interesting enough, has a few new construction communities. There's a few pockets that has been developed over time. Those places typically go up to, let's say, 1819, and they're like 3-story kind of vertical places. So you have some newer construction homes in Daly City. So let's move on to the East Bay. So East Bay, single family, not really much in like Fremont, but there are a decent amount that have been developed on the west parts of Newark over time. So these are like these bigger ones, 2,300 square feet, 1.5. So all of these have actually sold in the last 4 months to give you an idea of perspective. So Newark has a few good options. You have a few, as you can see, in the hills of Hayward. So Hayward, some people may not like it that much, but when you're in the hills of Hayward, especially in this golf course area, it can get really nice. Look at these sizes. 10,000 square foot lot, 4,300 square foot home, 2.6, right? And then there's many different ones between 1.7 and 2.8. Very far into the hills, but really, really nice. And a quiet, very, very quiet and peaceful place. Now, as you move more north, there's not a whole lot of activity either in any of these areas here. These parts of Orinda, these are all like separate teardowns of individual homes, as you can see. So not really like communities per se. I'm going to go more east and share some options. Now, Dublin, though, Dublin, San Ramon, these areas, they do have newer construction homes. So they have a lot more land in their newer cities in general. So you can see there's a huge cluster, right? And these are all single family. They're single family homes in Dublin, in San Ramon, that can be suitable. So this is that's why it's been a very, very popular place for people to consider if they are able to commute from Dublin, Pleasanton. They want the good schools to get to wherever they decide to work. Now, if I go east, I'm not highlighting these, but Tracy, Mountain House, you'll have newer homes there too. Mountain House actually has good schools. And then if you go to the northeast, you can see Brentwood. Right? Brentwood has lots of new construction going on over the last several years. It's been a super popular spot. You get huge homes for under $1 million. Give you a little bit of perspective. This 4-bed, 4-bath home sold for under $1 million and like roughly 3,000 plus square feet, right? These are just huge homes out in that area. And the last little kind of hidden spot that people may have not known about is some places like Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh and the southern parts of Pittsburgh have also grown and had some small communities that have developed over there, you can see those places are like 900,000, $1 million and under. So I gave you an idea in real time of like single family homes. Now, when it comes to condos and townhomes, a lot of those areas that I shared that didn't seem completely vacant, empty, or actually have a bunch of condos and townhomes, because it makes a lot more sense when in areas are much more dense, like here, to go through those kind of developments. And so you'll see those kind of projects sprinkle here and there. These are not huge projects, but there may be, I don't know, 30 to 70 units at a time, something like that, if they're able to like rezone things or tear down existing spots. So if you go down, you can see Gilroy actually doesn't have any. And the reason for that is because it doesn't make sense for builders to do it. Builders are only going to build where it makes sense. And because no one's going to buy a townhome in Gilroy for that amount, for almost any amount, they're just going to be doing single family. That's why you don't see any new condos and homes over the last few years. But you can see Morgan Hill has quite a bit of condos. And you see the southern parts of San Jose. I believe this is the Urban Oak area that also has options. You see what I shared here, Communications Hill. I shared that with another video. Those are all newer places. You can see even in Berryessa, which is around the BART extension line, they built a good amount of new construction homes. So you can see these different pockets all around the BART line. Milpitas also built a lot. This is near the Great Mall. You can see the BART line was there, so they had no choice but to actually extend this if they wanted to get that there. And so you can see all of these were for sale. There's a lot here that's for rent, so don't be deceived. But there's also some condos and townhomes in that region. And you can see that kind of throughout, just sprinkled throughout. They're not like huge areas, as I mentioned. Now, as you go into San Mateo County, you actually see a lot less. There are a few. This is an area here that's also quite nice. This is the area, I want to say it's close to the Hillsdale Shopping Center. You have a few developments. This is built by Summerhill and Foster City. And as you go more north, there's not a whole lot. San Francisco itself has actually a lot of new construction over the last decade. Because think about San Francisco. There was a period that it was just booming up until about like 2016, 2017. So at that time, they got to catch up, right? They got to start building a lot. So you have a lot of huge towers around the Soma area, Rincon Hill. But then if you go to like places like Nob Hill or Russian Hill, there are still buildings, but it's a lot, they're like capped, like 4 or 5 levels up. So they're much smaller in general. Now, Oakland has also gone through different new construction projects over time, not nearly the same as you can see versus San Francisco. As you move back down, you have this area here by Hayward that has been going through a lot of changes. So this area of Hayward is kind of the Mission Boulevard section. This whole area has a lot of new construction and still has new construction condos and townhomes continue to be built out there. So that's certainly a good spot to consider. You can see Fremont has some sprinkled throughout. Mainly the largest section is going to be this southern part, the area close to Tesla. So this area was expanded mainly because they're also having a BART station there. This is like the Warm Springs area. So they've been building things. They've been expanding there. There's lots of land there. So like there are some builders that actually have land to be building for at least a couple of years. So lots of stuff there. If you look at Dublin Pleasanton again, right, you can see there's still lots of options in Dublin. There's a lot of condos, townhomes that have been built out there over there. Still some single family, but mostly condos and townhomes, a lot more. Now, San Ramon, a lot less, but you still have some condos and townhomes that have been built out there. So those are some good areas and also excellent schools. So what do you think? Were you surprised with the results? That's the fact of it. Like a lot of people just didn't know. At the end of the day, if you want a newer place, you're typically going to have to buy a condo or townhome in the prime areas, or you're going to have to go further out where there's still lots of room. And you can get a huge single family home, as you can see, as long as you're willing to go through the commute and go further out, because there's no shortage of land still there. And a lot of the builders understand they can't just keep building condos and townhomes when they're that far out. That's why all of those are single family. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any other videos. And if you want to set up a game plan, whether you're 9 days out or 90 days out, I would love to hear from you so that you have the best plan in place. My contact details are below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.